6 days before he died, Kyle Busch stood in victory lane and said, "You never know when the last one is going to be, so cherish them all." Trust me, nobody in that room understood how true those words were about to become. On May 20, 2026, NASCAR lost its greatest ever. This is the story nobody fully told you. It started with a statement posted to Kyle Busch's official X account on the morning of May 20, 2026. The words were short and carefully chosen, and they carried an unmistakable weight. Kyle has experienced a severe illness, resulting in hospitalization. He is currently undergoing treatment and will not compete in any of his scheduled activities this weekend at Charlotte Motor Speedway. We ask for understanding and privacy as our family navigates this situation. That was it. No details about the nature of the illness, no timeline, no explanation from Childress Racing beyond the announcement that Austin Hill, the team's full-time O'Reilly Auto Parts Series driver, would fill in for Busch in the number 8 Chevrolet at the Coca-Cola 600. Families do not release public statements using the word severe unless they are dealing with something genuinely serious. That word carried weight, and within hours, the weight of it became unbearable. NASCAR said nothing further. The silence from the sport's governing body made the situation feel heavier by the minute. Fans, teammates, and rivals all sat watching, waiting, hoping. Nobody was prepared for what came next. Later that same Thursday, the Busch family, Childress Racing, and NASCAR issued a joint statement. Kyle Busch had died. Our entire NASCAR family is heartbroken by the loss of Kyle Busch, a future Hall of Famer. Kyle was a rare talent, one who comes along once in a generation. He was fierce, he was passionate, he was immensely skilled, and he cared deeply about the sport and fans. NASCAR lost a giant of the sport today, far too soon. The shock that followed was immediate and total. Denny Hamlin, his former teammate and most recent rival, posted, "Absolutely cannot comprehend this news. We just need to think of his family during this time. We love you, KB." Veteran NASCAR driver Brad Keselowski posted, "Absolute shock. Very hard to process." Ricky Stenhouse Jr. wrote, "There aren't really words for today. I've raced against Kyle for a long time, and anyone who's lined up next to him knows exactly what made him special. He gave you everything he had, every single lap, and he made all of us better for it. Rest easy, Rowdy. The sport won't be the same without you." Coca-Cola 600, the longest race on the NASCAR calendar at 600 miles, was confirmed to go ahead as scheduled that Sunday. But the garage that filled Charlotte Motor Speedway that weekend was a garage in mourning. Looking back now, the 2026 season reads like a story that was building toward tragedy from the very first race. Before the season even started, Busch revealed he had suffered a serious leg injury. A stool collapsed while he was fixing a smoke detector at home. His leg was gushing blood. Samantha drove him to the hospital in the middle of the night, with his leg propped up on the dashboard covered in towels. He spent more than 3 hours in emergency treatment and received 24 stitches. Then he showed up at Daytona and raced. Not because he had to, because that is who Kyle Busch was. Then came Watkins Glen on May 10th, 2026. With 38 laps to go in a brutal road course race, Busch picked up his radio and calmly told his team he was going to need a shot. He asked for Dr. William Heisel to meet him at his team bus after the race. He had been battling a sinus cold all week, exacerbated by the intense G-forces and elevation changes of the New York road course. He finished 8th, his best result of the entire 2026 season. He ground through whatever he was feeling and produced his strongest performance of the year while clearly not operating anywhere close to full capacity. At the time, that radio call was treated as a testament to his toughness. In hindsight, it was something else entirely. Then came Dover on May 15th, 2026. Busch won the Truck Series race, his last victory of any kind. When Fox Sports asked him why winning never gets old, he gave an answer that would haunt everyone who heard it days later. "You take whatever you can get, man. You never know when the last one is going to be, so cherish them all. Trust me. 6 days after those words, he was gone. May 20th was the day everything collapsed. Busch was testing in the Chevrolet racing simulator in Concord, North Carolina, when he became unresponsive. A 911 call obtained by the Associated Press captured the moment. An unidentified caller told the dispatcher, "I've got an individual that's got shortness of breath, very hot, thinks he's going to pass out, and is producing a little bit of blood, coughing up some blood." Busch was lying on the bathroom floor inside the General Motors training facility. He was transported to a hospital in Charlotte. He never recovered. On May 20, 2026 at 4:37 p.m., Kyle Busch was pronounced dead. Death certificate, obtained by multiple outlets, including The Athletic and Us Weekly, outlined the full chain of events. Kyle Busch had bacterial pneumonia for days to weeks before his death. On May 20, that pneumonia progressed into sepsis, a condition where the body's infection-fighting process causes organs to work improperly. Within just 1 day, the sepsis then triggered disseminated intravascular coagulation, known as DIC, which caused abnormal clotting throughout the blood vessels in his body, cutting off blood flow to vital organs. That led to hemorrhagic shock, caused by severe internal and external bleeding. The DIC and hemorrhagic shock lasted only hours. Dr. Ryan Maves, a critical care physician, addressed the unusual nature of Busch's deterioration. "Whatever he had was weird and rare," Maves said, noting that pneumonia deaths in healthy people in their 40s are highly unusual. The Busch family confirmed the findings in a statement. The medical evaluation provided to the Busch family concluded that severe pneumonia progressed into sepsis, resulting in rapid and overwhelming associated complications. Kyle Thomas Busch was born on May 2, 1985, in Las Vegas, Nevada. He was the younger brother of Kurt Busch, a NASCAR Hall of Famer 7 years his senior. Their father, Tom, was a mechanic and local racer. The Busch brothers grew up racing go-karts in cul-de-sacs and parking lots, then Legends cars, then full-bodied late models. In 2001, Kurt Busch made a prediction that turned out to be one of the most accurate in motorsports history. "You think I'm a pretty good race car driver? Wait until you see my brother. He's the best driver in the family." Kyle was ready to compete at NASCAR's top level at 16, but a tobacco advertising settlement barred his debut and forced him to wait until he was 18. When he finally arrived, he wasted no time. He won Rookie of the Year in 2005 and became the Cup Series' youngest winner in his 30 honest start. After each win, Busch created what became his signature celebration, a slow, deliberate bow after climbing out of his car. It was confidence. It was showmanship. It was identity. Early on, he earned the nickname Rowdy, a nod to one of the main characters in Days of Thunder and to his aggressive racing style. Crowds booed him loudly at tracks across the country. He drove better for it. The more fuel his detractors gave him, the faster he seemed to go. The stat sheets tell a story no other driver in NASCAR history has come close to matching. Kyle Busch amassed 234 combined wins across NASCAR's 3 National Series, 34 wins ahead of Richard Petty, a man widely considered the greatest stock car driver who ever lived before Busch came along. He recorded 63 Cup Series victories, ranking 9th on the all-time list. He won 102 races in the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series, a record. He won 69 races in the Craftsman Truck Series, also a record. He recorded Cup Series wins in 19 consecutive seasons, from 2005 through 2023. The next closest active driver in combined National Series wins is Kevin Harvick at 121, nearly 113 wins behind. Of all his accomplishments, the 2015 NASCAR Cup Series championship stands apart. During the season-opening race at Daytona, Busch suffered a catastrophic crash. His car skidded through the infield and struck an unprotected wall, breaking bones in both his right leg and left foot. Doctors said he would be out for 6 months. He was back behind the wheel in 3. He missed the first 11 races of the 2015 season. When he returned, the field had a 3-month head start. He won 5 races to qualify for the playoffs, then ran them all down in the final race of the season at Homestead. With his crew anxiously pacing the pit box, Busch sat calmly inside his car and sang the theme song to Bubble Guppies, his then 6-month-old son, Brexton's favorite show. It kept him calm. It worked. He crossed the finish line as the 2015 NASCAR Cup Series champion. The recovery process: "I wouldn't recommend it if you're trying to achieve a championship," Busch said at the time. "But it made us mentally stronger and physically stronger." He won his second championship in 2019, cementing a legacy that was already beyond debate. Behind the trophies and the records was a man his family knew differently. Samantha Busch was his constant. Through the 2015 leg fractures, through every controversy, through every difficult stretch on the track, she was the one who drove him to the hospital in the middle of the night before the very season that would end his life, his leg propped up on the dashboard covered in towels. Kyle and Samantha had their son Brexton through in vitro fertilization. When they discovered the high costs of the procedure, they dedicated their charitable efforts to raising funds so those who could not afford it would still have a chance at becoming parents. Their daughter Lennox, age 4 at the time of his death, completed a family picture Busch spoke about with unmistakable pride. In March 2025, Kyle raced against Brexton for the first time in microsprints at a small dirt track in North Carolina. Kyle finished a little better and said with a laugh, "I've got bragging rights for the next couple of weeks." One of the most significant moments in Busch's final years was his reconciliation with Dale Earnhardt Jr., with whom he had a contentious relationship for many years. Earnhardt revealed after Busch's death, "Kyle and I had a really challenging existence for many, but we luckily took the time to figure out our differences. And that was something he instigated." Earnhardt also revealed that the two had been planning to race his late model together at Wilkesboro that very summer. A meeting to fit Busch's seat into the car was scheduled for the Thursday after Busch died. Kurt Busch, who had called his little brother the best driver in the family more than 2 decades earlier, described him simply as his hero, his rival, and his best friend. There were no other words. Kyle Busch's death on May 20, 2026, marked the first time an active full-time NASCAR Cup Series driver had died since Dale Earnhardt in 2001, underscoring the magnitude of the loss within the sport. Childress Racing announced plans to retire the number 8 Chevrolet from competition until Brexton Busch is old enough to begin NASCAR racing. NASCAR CEO Steve O'Donnell addressed reporters at a news conference saying, "We certainly had our battles, but I would give a lot of money to have a few more battles." He also indicated NASCAR might consider adding Busch to the Hall of Fame class of 2027, a vote that had already been completed that week with 3 other inductees named. NASCAR officially removed Busch from the 2026 Cup Series standings, where he had been 23rd with 217 points and 2 top 10 finishes. The decision came following conversations with Childress Racing about how to handle his death, and was described as being empathetic of the impact to those who would see his name in the standings. Go back to Dover Motor Speedway. May 15, 2026. Victory Lane. Kyle Busch had just won the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race, his 234th National Series victory, and the last win of his life. A reporter asked him why these moments never get old. He smiled and said, "You take whatever you can get, man. You never know when the last one is going to be, so cherish them all. Trust me." Nobody in that room understood the full weight of those words. 6 days later, he was gone. Rowdy Nation didn't lose a driver, they lost a legend. If Kyle Busch ever made you feel something, like, subscribe, drop a in the comments, and share this with every Rowdy Nation member you know. He deserves every view.